ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਲੀਡਰ ਆਫ ਆਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਐਂਡ ਲੀਡਰ ਆਫ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਐਵ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਪੋਲੀਐਵ, good morning and welcome to show again.
Good to be with you, Harjit. Thank you for having me.
Always proud to see you in studio. And last night I saw you are jumping on the flames. It was remarkable.
That's
What was
right.
that? Yes.
Our campaign is on fire, Harjit.
Yes.
I was celebrating with the great Persian people here in the greater Vancouver area as the spring comes and the Persian celebration of Nowruz approaches. One of the traditions is to jump over flames, or jump over fire, and try not to catch flame. I'm hoping that I didn't lose any of my leg hairs as I did it, but I managed to survive, and it was great fun to bring it home with our Persian friends.
Since you are leader from last 6 months, as I have a deep interest in politics, I cover it from years and years. I never saw a Conservative Party so close to minorities. You are enjoying it, you are being a part of everywhere. Is it a shift change, or it is your sort of legacy? What is going on there?
Well, listen, I believe in a Canada where it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where you're going. It doesn't matter who you know, it matters what you can do. That's the country I inherited from my parents who were school teachers. It's the country to which my wife came as a refugee. It's the country we want our children to inherit. Harjit, I want a country where it doesn't matter if your name is Chang or Charles, Smith or Singh, Poilievre or Patel, Martin or Mohammed. As long as you're prepared to work hard, follow the law, you should be able to bring home a good living and a great life. That's the country I want to rebuild, and now it's time to bring it home.
Let us start with this trip. You announced yesterday you are going after pharmaceutical companies. That $40 billion is lots of money. If your government win that, and where that 40 billion will be?
Well, let's go back to the history. Over the last roughly 25 years, powerful pharmaceutical companies devised a strategy to lie about the addictiveness and danger of opioids so that they could market it into the healthcare system. They convinced regulators, doctors, nurses, pharmacists to massively overprescribe these drugs, and they deliberately tried to get people addicted. They told doctors, for example, that people should, if they have a small pain, they should take opioids. They couldn't feel it anymore. Those opioids get people high. It doesn't just deal with your back pain, it makes all your pain go away, all your worries. And then you need a bigger dose, and a bigger dose, and a more powerful dose. And that's how the opioid crisis started, and has taken 30,000 Canadian lives, another 30,000 hospitalizations. Go to east side of Vancouver, Hastings Street, where people lie face first on the pavement, dying. 6 British Columbians a day dying of opioid overdoses. When the tobacco companies caused cancer, the government sued them and got huge settlements to pay for the healthcare costs of smoking. We need to do exactly the same thing. The American governments have sued the opioid companies and recovered over $50 billion. But here in Canada, Trudeau has not announced any plans to launch lawsuits. Now, the Poilievre government will launch a $45 billion lawsuit that will seek damages for the extra costs for border security, policing, prisons, health care, and most importantly, recovery and treatment. I am going to make them pay. Big Pharma will pay the price for the lying, deceptive, murderous policy that they brought to North America, and I will use that money to fund recovery and treatment, to detox the addicts, give them counseling, and 90 days inpatient care. They can get their lives back, and we can bring them home to their families, to their jobs, and to a better future.
And lead to this question, there was a study on one of the major port, Delta port.
Yes.
2.4 million containers got in the port, but only 12,000 were inspected.
Wow.
We have to embrace that too, that fentanyl is coming in our country.
Yes, exactly. The ingredients come from China. The final product often comes from Mexico, and Canada does not inspect the packages that come into the country. You know, we're wasting all this money sending police officers to go and take away hunting rifles away from lawful licensed firearms owners, but we don't have enough money to secure our border against illegal drugs. So a Poilievre government will take money away from the gun grab that Trudeau wants to do on law-abiding hunters and farmers, and instead put the money into keeping drugs and illegal firearms out of our country.
If you visit to China, they mark you from where to where you can go up, and spy cameras revolving around your back and front. But they open police stations in our country.
Yes.
They intervene our electoral system. He confronted our Prime Minister on Davos and said, if we have to sit again, we have to mark new terms.
Right.
And where we are heading, and there's no, Trudeau government is not ready for public to check it, and there should be investigation on it, and they are going to put it in behind the doors.
Yes.
You have very strong stand on that.
Look, Trudeau, the Chinese government in Beijing has been backing Trudeau for a decade. They gave $200,000 to the Trudeau Foundation. They gave, according to CSIS, large clandestine transfer of funds to political parties, probably the Liberals, but Trudeau won't tell us. And they supported him in 2 successive elections. In 2021, CSIS confirmed that Beijing decided they wanted Trudeau to stay in power, and they worked to help re-elect him. They intimidated Chinese Canadians, especially in British Columbia, telling them they should not go and vote because they would be punished, and their families back in mainland China could be imprisoned if they voted here in Canada. We now know of 5 to 7 different Chinese-controlled foreign-controlled police stations in our country. And Trudeau has done absolutely nothing to stop it. We want a full public inquiry to investigate this interference by a hostile foreign dictatorship on our land. And Trudeau is refusing to allow that because I think he has something to hide. I think what he's trying to hide is that he knew that he benefited from it, and that at best he covered it up, and at worst he facilitated it.
Lately, they announced $76 million for air travelers' complaints to deal with it.
Yeah.
There's only one flight going from, direct flight from Vancouver to Delhi. It's Air India flight.
Yeah.
Therefore, yesterday it was 11 hours late. Children and our old citizens, they were set to fly, and they board the plane and then brought it back. Only they flew to with the business class. Only few travelers. They said the washrooms are not working. You have to get out, and there no hotel, nothing. Why the Canadian taxpayers have to give 76 million about these airlines, since they are making money out of our pockets?
Exactly. It's funny. This bureaucracy has failed to protect airline passengers. So what's the penalty?
Yeah.
They get 76 million more money.
Yes.
Imagine if your 10-year-old son said, "You gave me an allowance, and I didn't clean my room.
Yeah.
And so now that the room is even messier, I need a bigger allowance to reward me for not doing my job of cleaning my room." You know, it's incredible. This is how government works. A federal bureaucracy fails to do its job, and so the punishment is they get even more money. Everything's broken and backwards. We need to get our bureaucracy working and delivering results, and they should be paid based on performance. We also need to push for more competition in airlines so that Canadians can shop around rather than just having one airline for a given flight. And that is the only way we're going to get better service from our airlines. The service is a disaster. At first, Trudeau claimed it was COVID. Well, COVID's now 2 years ago, and so you can't blame that anymore. Now this week, I was criticizing the canceled flights and delays. Liberals say, "Oh, that's bad weather." Well, we've always had snow in Canada. We never had delays. and cancellations on the scale that we see now. This is federal airline sector, federal airports, federal regulator. It is federal responsibility. It's time for Justin Trudeau to step up and get Canadians the airline service they deserve. And that includes fighting for a direct flight from Vancouver and or Toronto to the state of Punjab. You know, other countries like Great Britain and Singapore have direct flights to the state of Punjab, which proves the Indian government has no problem with direct flights, contrary to the lies.
You wrote a letter also to Al Gabra.
I wrote a letter to Al Gabra,
Yeah.
who's the Minister of Transportation. The Liberals are lying and saying that India won't allow direct flights to the Punjab. Why does Singapore have a direct flight? Why does Great Britain have a direct flight? Why? Because their government stepped up and negotiated deals to get those. We have the biggest diaspora of Punjabis anywhere in the world. We should have direct flights to the state of Punjab. And frankly, I've spoken to the Indian High Commissioner. He says they welcome it. I've even spoken to Air India. They have no problem with it. They just have to get work on the logistics. But we have to fight for it, and it would be good for business, for India and for Canada. Let's bring it home.
If Canadian elect you as a Prime Minister, how long it will take you to start a direct flight to Punjab?
That's a good question. I don't want to make a promise I can't keep by giving a specific timeline, but what I'll tell you is I'm working on a business plan right now that will convince Air India and then also hopefully Air Canada that this is a good business decision. We have the volumes that would justify it, and that it would be a money-making route. And I think that once we do that, we clear away some of the bureaucratic obstacles, we can bring home a direct flight from Canada to the state of Punjab.
Between Russia-Ukraine conflict, the country like US, they brought about 120,000 Ukrainians, total 120. We brought 900,000 Ukrainians, and out of that, 600,000 already landed. They are working, most of them landed in Winnipeg. And from Syria, how it would be different if you are a Prime Minister today?
Well, we need to make it quicker for people who arrive as refugees to get work permits so they can get down to work right away. We need to work. We have a huge labor shortage, and we also have a shortage of tax dollars. So I don't want to. Immigrants don't come here to collect money. They come here to work, and we want to allow them to work quicker, faster work permits, less bureaucratic delays, and remove the gatekeepers so immigrants can get licensed to practice in their professions more quickly. That would allow us to have more doctors, nurses, engineers, architects, etc. So remove the gatekeepers, allow immigrants to work faster.
About immigration backlog?
Well, this is again incredible incompetence by the Trudeau government. We're spending more on the immigration department, vastly more, and yet the processing times have slowed because the Prime Minister refuses to impose accountability on the senior bureaucracy, and so we need to speed up processing times and get that 1.1 million people who've been waiting longer than the acceptable wait time to have their cases settled, so we can reunify families, fill job vacancies with high-skilled immigrants, and rescue true refugees from peril abroad. I also want to close Roxham Road. This is becoming a very costly distraction that's consuming billions of dollars to pay for people who are illegally walking over the border from the United States. We have to put them on buses, send them to hotels where we pay for their hotel room for sometimes months, welfare and other costs. We need a lawful immigration system that brings people here through the front door, not through a side window.
And about natural resources. America is going to open the new airfield in Alaska, the Willow area lithium new mine in Nevada, and you congratulate Chief of First Nation for the Kitimat project. And you are planning from east or west coast, we have shore there, and we can haul our natural resources to Europe. And what are your planning on it?
We need to bring home natural resource paychecks. So we have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in Canada. That's the 5th biggest supply of any country on planet Earth. And yet we do not export a single cubic foot of natural gas overseas. When Trudeau took office, there were 15 proposed natural gas liquefaction projects. Not a single one of them has been completed 8 years later. In that same time, the Americans have built and launched 7. The Germans brought in a natural gas import terminal. You know how long it took them? 194 days.
Oh,
Trudeau's had 8 years,
started.
not one is built. So what I would do is approve natural gas projects very quickly by repealing the anti-development law, C-69. We will use our massive advantage. We have the shortest shipping distance to Asia and Europe from North America. We have cold weather, which reduces the cost of liquefying the gas by 25% compared to the US Gulf Coast, because they have to take more heat out of the gas down there. We have the cold weather to do that for us here.
Yeah.
And we're going to put that gas on ships, liquefy it, send it over to Asia to break Asian dependence on dirty coal, and send it on over to Europe to break European dependence on Putin. We're going to turn dollars to dictators into paychecks for our people. Bring it home. Bring home our money, our businesses, our facilities, our paychecks. Bring it home.
I would like to get your stance on world politics. Lately, China made it happen, agreement between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And North Korea is firing ballistic missiles every second day. China, Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, North Korea.
Yes.
And same token, in that area, we have great country from where I am, India. And everyone is going there to do good business with them.
Yes.
But Trudeau government didn't initiate good terms with them. And what your proposals with in order to get to the India?
With India?
Yes.
Well, we need to be professional. We don't have to agree 100% of the time with the government in India, but we have to have a professional relationship. It's the world's largest democracy. It has an increasingly fast-growing market economy. We have very little trade with India. It's pathetic, actually. We should be doing vastly more. I think we need to have a free trade agreement with India, because we can sell lentils, potash for fertilizer.
From Ukraine, from
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
We have the biggest supply of
We have uranium. Yes.
So if India wants to get off coal and onto nuclear, we can provide the civilian grade uranium that would be feedstock for those nuclear reactors in India. We also have the technology we can sell in the form of powerful patents, like Bruce Power in Ontario. 50% of Ontario's power comes from nuclear. We could bring our reactors to India. Massive opportunities for our people. And plus, we have an enormous Indian diaspora from all different backgrounds, from Tamil Nadu, from Punjab, from Delhi, from everywhere. So this is a natural people-to-people commercial relationship, but we have to bring it home with common sense diplomacy that serves Canada's interests in partnership with India.
I would like to pass a big thanks from our container truckers to you. You wrote a very strong letter. The same evening, there was a decision from port.
Yes.
That was, you can see why you were in the East and Atlantic area, very busy, but you did it. And but still, it has to be followed. And
Yes.
And they delayed it for some time, but still, it is not totally scrapped.
Yes.
And they just sent me a message when I announced you were coming. They said, big thanks to Mr. Poilievre.
Thank you.
And they will all meet you when you are coming to our Khalsa Day parade, which you
Yes.
promised with us on
Yes.
22nd of April.
Of April. That's going to be a big one.
Yes, in
Yes.
Surrey.
I'm
you
looking
will be
forward to
there.
that. So listen, the hardworking truckers have been anxious, sleepless nights, worried that their trucks would be banned, and this would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to each of these families. Trudeau is determined to ban those trucks. He has this radical anti-development, anti-energy agenda that bans people's livelihoods, and we as Conservatives fought back for the Sikh truckers to have the right to use their trucks right through to the end of their useful lives. And happily the government has paused its plan, and we will keep the pressure on to make sure this plan never comes back. We need to protect the hardworking truckers that do business at our port.
As you are doing a lot from last 6 months, following you on Twitter, one leg is in Atlantic, next day you are in West, then third day asking questions in Ottawa,
Yes.
then driving to Brampton on weekend.
Yes.
How you are coping with all your health and family life?
I'm
Canada
energized.
maybe not very happy nowadays.
I am very energized, and I have a brilliant, powerful wife who manages to support this crazy life I have, and we have wonderful in-laws. My wife is from a Latin background,
Yes.
and the rule, when you marry a Latina woman, you marry the whole family.
Yes, yes.
I think it's probably
That's
true
slang.
in Sikh
That's slang in
tradition.
South. Yes.
Yeah. And so aunts, uncles,
That's
grandmothers.
how Punjabis are.
What's that? That's what
Yes.
Punjabis are.
Yes.
Same thing, and that is very helpful. And so we have support from her family, helping with our little kids, baby Cruz and Valentina.
Yes.
They have a whole family that cares for them, aunts, uncles. And so we're very blessed, and they're giving us all the support so that I can do this work for Canadians.
Mr. Poilievre, thank you so much. Whenever we call you, we ask you to come. You do visit our studio.
Yes.
And we all, as a part of community, I always pass out to concern of community whenever you ask something. And very best wishes, and looking
Thank
forward
you.
to see you in next month. Make sure, well, there's no leader, no conservative leader came to our Surrey parade. Make sure you are coming next month.
Thank you. I hope you'll keep me in your prayers. My mission is to bring it home. Bring home lower prices by getting rid of the inflationary deficits and carbon taxes. Bring home powerful paychecks by cutting income tax so hard work pays off again. Bring homes people can afford by getting rid of the gatekeepers to free up land and build more faster. And bring home our jobs and businesses from abroad by getting rid of the anti-development laws and making this the best place on earth to do business. In other words, bring it home for Canada. It's the common sense of the common people in our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home.
Best wishes.
Thank you.